Hey guys, here we are again. Today I will talk to you about something that I've been wanting to share with you guys for quite some time. I am going to tell you some of the things that I've learned about building in-ground concrete fish tanks. Let me start out by saying that here in Thailand, they're not very common. They have some little ones that they put some goldfish or some koi fish, you know, for good luck, for decoration, or whatever reason they're found here. But not in this scale and not this deep. So let me start out by saying that if you're going to build something like this, or you're thinking about building something like this, find someone that is a professional, and that is what they do. They build concrete fish tanks. Because when you think about it, it's a very simple thing. Not complicated, but in reality, it is. It has a lot of things that need to happen, and if they don't happen, you're going to have a lot of problems. Believe me, I know. So first of all, find some place that has an available water source. Whether it be some kind of irrigation ditch, river, well, whatever it is, you've got to have a source because you've got to supply water to this thing. So it takes a lot of water in the course of the year. So that's the first thing. The second thing is find an excavator operator that knows how to dig, because you want the ground to not be disturbed where you're building. You want this thing to be compacted and solid, and the only thing you'll be digging out is where your tank will go. Now, when I had this thing dug out, in my mind, I wanted to put shrimp in the bottom, fish on top. I'm not telling you this because I know, but from what I've seen and the research that I have done since the tanks were excavated, they don't coexist. Not that well anyway. So I would say that if you're going to put some tanks down, don't go more than 3 feet deep. These tanks here are a little bit over 6 feet. So they're about double what they should be in depth. The other thing that you need to think about is waterproofing. How are you going to keep these tanks from leaking? Because if you can't get them to hold water, it doesn't do you any good. Then the other thing is, you need to think about how are you going to filter this water, which I will make a video later on filters, filtration, and what I've learned about that. But you need some way of filtering this water. You're going to need either solar or electric power to run your pumps. You're going to have to circulate this water, run it through your filters, provide oxygen to the fish. So those are just some of the things that you need to think about. You also need to think about where you're going to dump this water whenever you dump the water out and replace this water with new water, because it doesn't seem like much, but when you pump each one of those tanks out, that's a lot of water, and it creates a problem in the long run. So find a way to dump this water so where it doesn't create any problems with flooding, with undermining the foundation, you know, all those things. So you're going to have to think about that too. Now, I decided to put a roof over these things, and the reason for it is because it's not like a pond where you have dirt at the bottom, you have the wind going through it, and as the sun goes over, it warms the water, yet where the sun doesn't get, it keeps the water a little cooler. So you have different problems with a pond that are not found in tanks. However, when you build a tank, you create a lot more problems than a pond. A pond is a more natural thing that basically provides some food for the fish and everything. So once that pond is established, you could put those fish in there and never feed them, because the pond will create enough food to keep those fish going. But it takes a lot more time to get them to a mature size. The thing about tanks that I wanted to do is it's a controlled environment. It'll keep the water cool, you can filter the water however you want. You can, you know, you can control everything that goes inside that tank. So when I talk about filtration in another video, I will tell you some of the things that I learned, and it was a very steep learning curve for me as far as building the tanks, filtering the tanks, the amount of fish per tank, and I'm still learning. You know, in the scheme of things, I know but a fraction of what I need to know. But I know a lot more now than I did when I started doing this. Now, you know, it's one of these things that what you think and what you know are totally different. You know, in your mind, you can think this, you can think that, and it's a very easy thing. But when you make it into reality and you start learning and seeing and finding out, then you know. And it is completely 100% different than what you think. Because when I started this thing, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and I did a lot of research on the internet and what have you, and it seemed like a very simple thing. You know, I saw some videos where you could put shrimp and fish together, and the reality is that the fish that you think are not meat eaters turn out to be meat eaters. Because I have tilapia, and whenever I had a fish die, by the time it comes out, the other fish have eaten its eyes and what have you, and it's all nibbled on, and yet you feed them every day. I feed them 5 times a day because they don't have a stomach, and what they do is they eat and they poop. So I feed them 5% of the total weight, and what I do is I weigh 15, 20 of them, and then average it out and get 5% of that, and that's what I feed it, and divide it into 5 times per day. And let me tell you, they get enough to eat, yet they still take those fish that die and nibble on them and what have you. So a lot of things that you see on videos and read here and there are not set in concrete, because there are some little differences here and there to reality. But for the most part, you know, it is what it is. So if you want to do something like this, first of all, you have to decide on what kind of fish you're going to raise. And you have to research how much water they need. Tilapia, they live generally in the first 2-3 feet of water, and that's it. And they can actually have less water than that, but 3 feet of water is about what they need. And by doing this, when you filter this water, you're not filtering twice the amount for what is needed. And that creates a problem, and you have to get a bigger pump, and of course you have to have more water, so everything gets multiplied because it is a bigger tank. Now don't get me wrong, I'm happy with these tanks, because here, even if the water is not in the sun, just from the air temperature, that water heats up, you know, fairly well. Not something to where it's as hot as the water in a pond or something, but it does warm up. So by doing this, it keeps the water cool, and if it gets too hot, they can always dive a little deeper. So it's been quite some time now since I put that first fish in there, and I've learned a lot. And I will share that with you in another video. So I will make a video for the filtration system, and I will make a video as for the fish themselves. But right now, what I can tell you is, if you're in a country that has professionals that build this kind of stuff, then you're set. If you don't, then it's, you know, trial and error like I've done here. Here, people go from the rice field to a contractor just by saying so. So when you hire somebody, there is no Better Business Bureau, there is no, you know, kind of place where you can go and get references, and, you know, it doesn't work like that here. Here, you find somebody, and you found them because someone told you, and someone told them, and so on and so forth, and you take your chances. So when you find somebody, you don't know what you're going to get. And once they do something for you and it turns out good, then you can hire them again and again and again. Now, I had found these guys that did a lot of work for me. And they went from really good work to really bad work. And it was just getting more expensive, and their quality was going down and down and down, to the point where, you know, I could do a better job than they did, so I don't hire them anymore. But anyway, here you can't find someone that builds these things, so you have to rely on what they say and what they do, and then take your chances. And if you watch some of my other videos, you'll know that I had a lot of problems with leaks. Now, when I had the second set of filters built, I found these two guys that came and they built those filters, and they were good. They got those filters really straight with no leaks on their first time. Now, the first set of filters, if you look at the videos, I used all kinds of different things to try to waterproof and stop the leaks, and I mean, I spent lots and lots of money, and it just, well, finally got it to the point where I could filter these things and it would hold water. So the key is get as much information, do as much research as you can, and find a professional and try to get it right on the first time. So as far as waterproofing this tanks, if you pour concrete, on this we used concrete block and then rendered the outside of those things. But if you can pour this out of concrete and then render the outside, that would be fantastic, and you should not have any problems with leaks. And what you do is when you pour the concrete, you order the concrete with waterproof additives. So after you render, this concrete will not soak in the water and won't let it go through, and you will not have any problems with leaks. So anyway, I'm gonna add the link in the description for the playlist of building this fish tanks, and you will see some of the things that I'm talking about. Oh, one more thing, very important thing. When you build these things, if you're going to make it out of concrete block, or even if you're going to use concrete, put the floor in first. These guys, they built the walls, and then we had problems with some of these things collapsing. You've got to put in your floor, and it's got to be thick enough to hold the weight of the water. And then you put your sidewalls up, and the floor will help support these walls so that they don't collapse. But anyway, hindsight is 20/20, and all I can tell you is they were built how they were built, and the only thing I could do after that is solve whatever problems came up, fix whatever had to be fixed, and not cry over spilled milk. Just do whatever you have to do to make it work. Now, I don't remember exactly when we put this thing in here, but it's been well over a year. And I'm still solving some of the problems. I'm still trying to get these things to where they need to be. But right now, it looks like I'm pretty close. So, if you're going to build some fish tanks made out of concrete block, or whatever you're going to use, all I can tell you is good luck. I hope you learn a little bit from this video, and then of course, you know, from all the research that you do from this video and whatever's available in your area, I hope you are able to build something that works the first time. So yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and we will see you in the next video. All right, see ya. Thanks for watching.
ขอบคุณเจ้า
See you next time.
แล้วปะกันแฮมไมนะเจ้า
See you.
บ๊ายบาย